What's cracking, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Master Felvendor back with another video, and today we're going to be doing a retrospective review on Red Dead Redemption 2 and why it was such a masterpiece. So let's get started. Before I actually get into the review, I just want to say, if you like this content and you want to see more like this from my channel, just be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe. Any support would be appreciated. Right now I'm just trying to grow my fan base and kind of just, put myself out there. So without further ado, love you guys. Let's get into the content. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to Red Dead Redemption 2 is the story. It's absolutely masterclass, and here's why. So the first thing most people look for in a game is a good storyline. You're not going to want to play a game if the story's shit. I mean, look at Saints Row. It sucked. No one wanted to play it. Yeah, the gameplay might have been goofy and fun.
Oh, great heavens!
Maybe for a 5-year-old, but when it comes to the story, you got to have something that people can grab onto and really take hold of emotionally. And I feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 captures that perfectly. So to give you a few examples, let's start with Arthur Morgan's story. So Arthur Morgan, as we all know, is the main character, and his story is so well fleshed out in this game. I mean, it's just picture perfect. Alright, for example, his story with Thomas Downs and Thomas Downs' family. The way that it explains how he got tuberculosis inadvertently, doesn't actually tell you this in the storyline, but every bit of the story ends up kind of revolving around Arthur's struggle with himself and his morals, He starts questioning his gang and questioning why he's doing the things that he's doing.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
And I feel like the story of Thomas Downs and Mrs. Downs explains this plot perfectly. So for starters, you see Mrs. Downs whenever Arthur first meets Thomas Downs in one of the missions that you're doing for Mr. Strauss. And at first, these characters don't even seem like anything. These characters, they just seem like background characters, which is the beautiful thing about Red Dead. Every little thing in this game adds so much to the game's lore, and you can tell that they just put so much passion into this game because even small characters that you don't think are significant at all.
Gavin! Gavin! Where are you?
Come back later in the story and actually play a huge part. So later on in the story, you end up seeing Mrs. Downs again, and Mrs. Downs actually is confronted by Arthur again about the money that Thomas borrowed from Mr. Strauss.
Where's our money?
I don't have it.
And you start to see how these characters kind of interact with each other and how their emotions change over time. Like, for instance, Mrs. Downs, at this point in the story, she's very upset that you're even coming back and asking her whenever her husband just died. She's not in the position to give you this money, but she does it anyways because she has no choice.
She couldn't even afford a bar of fucking soap.
Wow. Arthur is threatening her, and she feels like she has no choice. Arthur obviously struggles with this, and you can see it in his face. You can see it in his emotions. The way he reacts to these characters. The way he starts lashing out at Mr. Downs' son.
Either you got a lazy eye or lack of respect. Which is it, boy?
I ain't got no lazy eye.
You can just tell that Arthur's uncomfortable, doesn't want to be there, and the only thing he knows how to do is be aggressive at this point, because he hasn't learned compassion yet. This is how these characters grow. These characters grow tremendously throughout this story, and it's a beautiful masterpiece that I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen this portrayed this well in any other form of media. I mean, this is just incredible. Then we get to around the mid-game, and you're actually in Saint Denis and end up seeing Mrs. Downs again if you play the game right. And what happens is she's actually became a prostitute
Bitch, you is a hoe.
in the town of Saint Denis because she had no other money after you stole it all as Arthur. And of course, Arthur feels bad and tries to confront her because he's no longer working doing these things with Mr. Strauss. But unfortunately, Mrs. Downs just doesn't want to talk for obvious reasons. But this just shows how in-depth these characters are and how well thought out that this game was. I mean, this one quest, this one storyline between these two characters shows just how deep things can really get. And there are hundreds of these characters in this game. It's incredible, honestly. Another example of the great storytelling in this game is Micah. Micah Bell is a great character, and
You lying bitch.
he is honestly one of the coolest villains that I've ever seen in a game because he starts out as not necessarily your friend, but he's almost like an anti-hero. He's a dick the entire game, but he still is, on your side. It isn't until the very end that you find out his true colors, his real colors, and man, is it a shock.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Because yeah, Micah was always a dick, but you never thought that he would turn against you and straight up beat you and kill you. That is such a plot twist that I was just like dumbfounded by. I didn't even think this character honestly would matter at the end of the game until about midway through the game. Now, obviously, you know, if you've played the game, you know that in the end, Micah ends up pretty much killing Arthur.
Oh, no.
And if he wouldn't have done it, then his tuberculosis would have caught up with him. But, you know, it's so crazy to me that they could put this much thought into just one of the side characters. This isn't even the main character of the game. The main characters are Dutch, John, and Arthur. And it just so happens that Micah Bell plays just as much of a significant role in the story, if not more. Of course, I can't go on listing every aspect of this story because A, I don't want to spoil the entire game for you, and B, really and truly, there's just so much in this game that I can't exactly wrap the whole story up into one video. That would just take way too long. So for now, we're going to go ahead and turn our attention to the gameplay. Now, here's where things get interesting. On the one hand, I really enjoy the fact that this game opens up so many possibilities for you to move around the environment, and there's so many different weapons and ways you can customize them to your individual taste. But on the other hand, I have to question, you know, the pacing of the game because it is a very slow game. And if you're not one to sit back and enjoy a game for what it is, you're not going to enjoy this experience. Controls are admittedly clunky because, of course, we're running on Rockstar's engine, and Rockstar Games has been using almost the same controls for all their games since 2008. I mean, it's pretty old at this point. We need something a little newer in the next game, and it's no disrespect to them. They did a fantastic job with this game, but the pacing is really slow. There's a lot of things that could have been changed about that, but at the end of the day, you also have to look at it like this, okay? If you're the type of gamer that likes to kick back and play something like GTA that's fast-paced and that you're constantly moving from point A to point B and never stopping and never enjoying cutscenes, then this game probably isn't for you. However, if you're a fan of more casual games that you can just dive into, sink a couple hundred hours into, and, you know, not really care about all the action and stuff, not worry about the difficulty and stuff, and just more focus on the story and the atmosphere, this game is for you, 100%.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Now, even stuff like the fishing, which really doesn't play a big part in the story, is just so fleshed out, man. And it's incredible because you have all these different kinds of bait that you can use. You have all these different kinds of, you know, fish that you can catch. There are big fish, small fish that literally fit on the back of your horse. There are fish that are, you know, worth $20 a piece in this game. It's incredible just the amount of detail they put into this small side section of the game, right? Another example of the deep mechanics in this game is the horses. You know, in the first game, they touched on the horses, but it wasn't, you know, too complex. Red Dead 2 takes it to a whole nother level, buddy. This game literally doesn't hold your hand. It's like, no, you're going to brush your horse, you're going to feed your horse, you're going to give your horse stamina cores. You have certain ways that you can tap to make the horse go faster. There, you unlock new moves for the horse as you develop a bond with it. There's just so many different mechanics for the horses that it's another testament to how much Rockstar put into this game. Now I want to move on to probably my favorite part of the game, which is the actual world itself, because oh my god, Rockstar, how did you develop this game on time? I have no idea.
Cocaine is one of the most widely used drugs in the entire world.
Like what? I'll give you an example. You walk into the swamps in Lemoyne, right? Immediately, just the atmospheric effects in this game make it so immersive to play. Not only that, but you can look, you can zoom a scope into a tree and literally see the individual pieces of bark on a tree. You can look at a frog and see the pores on its skin.
Oh, great heavens!
You can literally see all of this in this game. It's incredible. It's also one of the most realistic hunting simulators I've ever played. I mean, if you've ever played this game and you've hunted, you know. Just the skinning animations, the amount of detail they put into the actual meat.
That's suspicious.
You know, the detail they put into the dismemberment in this game, it's incredible. I've never seen anything like it in another game before. And I hope to see something like this in GTA 6, because it would be a real shame if we didn't have these features carried over to the next game. Another great example is the interiors of the houses. There are so many different interiors in this game that it is completely mind-blowing how they managed to pull this off on time. This game should have taken them 20 years to do, and instead, with their smart, beautiful team of developers, they managed to pull this out of their ass in under 10 years. This is incredible. I have no idea, I have no words to describe how professional and how crazy that is. The crunch time must have been insane. And last but not least, I really want to talk about the multiplayer in this game. Because to be honest, it is the biggest downside of this game, and it is a real pain for me to say this, but it sucks.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Look, man, it is a beautiful online mode, and honestly, I've spent countless hours playing this game online. But I have to say, bro, the pay-to-win, the pay-to-play mechanics, Rockstar, I paid $70 for this game. What are you doing? You pretty much guaranteed have to spend at least $5 on this game to actually start a trade. And if you don't want to do that, the only other option for you to do is to literally spend over a month grinding gold. And you get gold in not bars, not half bars, not quarter bars. You get them in 0.01% increments. So you're literally getting like 0.01 bars of gold. It takes 25 to get into the actual trades. The one upside I will give to the multiplayer is how absolutely incredible the latency and how absolutely incredible the graphics maintain themselves online. I've never seen a game that you could play online and it didn't have hardly any bugs like this. This is mind-blowing, bro. It's such a real travesty that the entire game is basically a big cash grab, and I have no incentive to play it other than to, you know, give myself some cool guns or some cool shirts and pants and hats, I guess. Rockstar, add some properties to this game. Do what you did with GTA. Come on. There's a reason this game died, and it's because you didn't take care of it. But honestly, with a little bit of polish, this game could be so much more than it is. Honestly, I feel like the fan base would make a return to the online mode if they would just update it and give it what GTA got. You know, matter of fact, it probably would make more money than GTA if they would just add properties. If they would just add, real estate that you could buy, stuff like that. The Moonshiners tent, the little camps that you own. None of that incentivizes me to actually go out and make money. The only thing I want to do is fuck off, shoot a couple people, and then log off. I don't feel like playing this game for 3 months just to be able to get a trade or a proper role in the game. So that's the biggest downside Red Dead has to me, to be honest. But honestly, I could go on for a week about this game if I wanted to, but when it comes down to getting into all the side missions, and there's a lot of them too. There's so many side missions in this game. If you haven't played them, go back and play them because you've missed half the game, over half the game. So my conclusion is that honestly, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a 9 out of 10. I would say the biggest flaw that it has is the online mode, and that's what really killed the replayability for me, is because if I could go back and play the online mode, it would be so great. But the story itself, once you've experienced it, 2-3 times, there's really nothing to go back for unless you're just looking for that atmosphere. Like I said, if you're one of those people that enjoy a really good atmosphere in a game, you're gonna love Red Dead 2. So go ahead, give it a try. It's worth every penny that you spend on it. And honestly, the game is pretty cheap right now. They discounted this game a lot because of the player base leaving and stuff like that. So go ahead and give it a try if you haven't already. I promise you, if you're a hunter or you don't play games very often, this is not one of those grindy games that all these kids play these days. This is something special. This is something you can sink your time into, have a good time, and not feel like you're just like 360 no-scoping everybody in the lobby. Anyways, with that out of the way, I guess I'll go ahead and give my outro. If you guys like this and want to see more review content like this from my channel, then be sure and leave a like, follow me, subscribe. You can hit me up on TikTok. Link will be in the description. But yeah, you guys enjoy, and I hope you have a good day. Love you guys. See you in the next one.